Mr. Speaker, I rise today to offer a complementary perspective as a young millennial Singaporean. For many of us, the question we want an answer to is not whether Singapore is competitive. It is whether Singapore is still a place where we can live well. I wrote this speech in an attempt to answer one question that I believe is core for Singapore as we chart our next phase. What does it mean to live well in Singapore? In his budget speech, the Prime Minister spoke of growth, innovation, and resilience. These are important, but a good life is not only built on GDP per capita or AI adoption rates. It is built on time for the people we love. It is built on presence, the ability to be there for our families and communities. And it is built on space for Singaporeans to grow, to explore, and to become themselves. Budget 2026 already speaks extensively to Singapore's competitiveness. So today, I would like to speak about Singapore's livability, because for my generation, these are not one and the same thing. Mr. Speaker, let me start with time. A significant portion of the Prime Minister's budget speech was devoted to AI. Indeed, AI will reshape how we work, how businesses compete, and how public services are delivered. I support the ambition to harness AI as a strategic advantage. But I also want to acknowledge something that many Singaporeans feel, but few are saying out loud, that AI fatigue is real. It is the feeling that no matter how fast we learn, the ground is always shifting beneath us. It is the worry that tools meant to make us more productive, to make our lives easier, are actually leaving us with more to do. This is not just anecdotal. A recent Harvard Business Review article shared the findings from an ongoing study which tracks how generative AI changed work habits at a US-based technology company with more than 200 staff over 8 months. The findings were striking. The adoption of AI tools did not reduce workload. They consistently intensified it. AI accelerated tasks, which raised the expectation for speed, which deepened reliance on AI, which expanded the scope of work, which further increased the density and volume of work for each employee. The researchers warned that what looks like higher productivity in the short run can mask silent workload creep and growing cognitive strains as employees juggle multiple AI-enabled work streams and tasks. Over time, it will become harder to differentiate between genuine productivity gains and unsustainable intensity. For employees, the cumulative effect is fatigue and burnout. This matters for Singapore, especially as we call on more Singaporeans to embrace AI at work. The evidence suggests that the risk is not only job displacement, but also job intensification. The risk is not that AI replaces us, though it will replace some jobs, but that it makes us run faster on the same treadmill. AI adoption without guardrails will not give Singaporeans their time back. It may take more of it away. I urge the government and all Singaporeans to think about not just how AI can make us more productive, but also about how it can give us our time back. Singapore's average full-time working week stands at nearly 44 hours, not including unpaid overtime work. This is among the highest in the developed world. 61% of Singaporean employees report feeling exhausted. Burnout costs the Singapore economy an estimated 15.7 billion annually in lost productivity. Mr. Speaker, productivity gains do not automatically become human gains. Without deliberate policy choices, they tend to remain employer gains. If AI can automate routine tasks, what comes next should not only be what additional tasks can be added to an employee's plate at work. Perhaps it is that they leave the office on time most days to have dinner with their families, and not only on quarterly Eat with Your Family Day. Last year, the Prime Minister spoke of building a we first society, a society where we look out for each other, volunteer, and contribute. I support this vision. But realizing it requires something that money cannot buy: time. A we first society needs people who have the time and energy to show up for each other. And I hope this will be one of the design goals of our national AI strategy and not an afterthought. This brings me to presence, which requires both time and energy. I want to share tidbits from conversations with friends, peers, and young Tampines residents about growing our families, about having a child or having another one. These conversations rarely begin with money. They begin with a pause, sometimes a sigh, and then almost always a shared concern that we cannot be the parents that we want to be. Present, engaged, patient, even after a long day at work, instead of giving in to screen time because we are exhausted and need a moment of peace. The government's own data reflects this. The 2021 Marriage and Parenthood Survey shows that over 90% of married Singaporeans want to have 2 or more children. The reality, however, is that over half of these married Singaporeans had only 1 or no children. Our total fertility rate has since plunged below 1, holding steady at 0.97 since 2023. This gap between aspiration and reality is not a gap in desire. It is a gap in enabling conditions. Young Singaporeans today are not overwhelmed because we do not try hard enough. We are overwhelmed because we are encouraged to get married, to have children, to remain in the workforce, to upskill, to embrace AI, to volunteer, and to care for our aging parents so they can age in place. Yet policies and workplace culture have not fully caught up. Budget 2026 contains welcome measures for families, ranging from additional Child Life SG credits, enhanced preschool subsidies, and extended means testing support. Such financial measures matter. And we also need a supplementary set of policies to complement them, focused on giving Singaporeans back the time and energy to actually build a family and parent with presence, patience, and joy. This is why at the upcoming Committee of Supply debate, I will be putting forward proposals on per-child childcare leave, paid caregiving leave, and having actual, enforceable, flexible work arrangement policies rather than guidelines. These will help us to better support Singaporean families as they grow and age, and hopefully lead to higher fertility and stronger family outcomes. And finally, Mr. Speaker, I would like to speak about space. I've spoken about time and how the economy consumes it. I have also spoken about presence and how families need it. Now I want to talk about something that connects the two, whether our system leaves ample space for our people, especially our youths, to grow, explore, and become themselves. Let me start with our young. The budget speaks of the importance of strengthening AI literacy and ensuring that young Singaporeans develop rigorous foundations so they use AI wisely and not as a shortcut. I agree and would like to ask, what are rigorous foundations in a world where AI can generate code, analyze large data sets, and even compose music? Surely, the competitive advantage is no longer what we know, but who we are. Our capacity for empathy, for creativity that comes from lived experience and not pattern recognition, our ability to sit with uncertainty and not be consumed by anxiety, and our willingness to try something difficult, fail, and try again. I welcome the long overdue comprehensive review of our education system. If AI is going to change the nature of work, then surely it must also change what we value in education. And changing what we value requires changing how we measure. Singaporean families collectively spent $1.8 billion on private tuition in 2023. This is up 64% from a decade ago. This is not parental excess. It is a rational response to a system that sorts early and sorts sharply. The PSLE, for all of its merits in maintaining a set of standards, should not be defining a child's sense of self-worth at an age where they should be discovering who they are and what they care about. I am not calling for us to abandon the bell curve. I am calling for a rethink of how we use it. Rather than competitive grading and sorting, we should use it as a diagnostic tool to track a child's progress over time, identify specific learning needs, and celebrate their growth. When access to opportunities is too tightly tied to early academic performance, those of us who take longer to find our footing may find some doors closing before we've even had a chance to knock. This space in our education system should be complemented by space in our economy. I welcome the budget's emphasis on lifelong learning. Lifelong learning for youth of today may also mean lifelong experimentation, the freedom and space to pursue different paths, combine different strengths, and to build a working life that reflects who we are and not just what the market demands of us at the present. Some of our youths are already doing this. They are building portfolio careers, combining roles, projects, and pursuits that do not fit neatly into a single job title. This is not a collection of side hustles. It is a reimagining of work that values flexibility, autonomy, and personal growth. It reflects the very qualities we say we want in our workforce: adaptability, entrepreneurial thinking, and a willingness to take calculated risks. I look forward to hearing more about the mandate of the new statutory board formed by the merger of Workforce Singapore and SkillsFuture Singapore. I hope it will build complementary and updated frameworks for career development and ensure labour protection and skill certification to accommodate diverse work arrangements while safeguarding longer-term income security and career progression. To conclude, Mr. Speaker, I am for growth. I am for staying competitive. I am for the adoption of AI. Singapore must remain economically vibrant, strategically relevant, and globally connected. Budget 2026 is titled Securing Our Future in a Changed World. I support this aspiration. And I humbly suggest that securing our future is not only about securing our competitiveness. It is about securing the conditions for a good life. A life of time for the people we love. A life where we can be present for our children, our parents, and our communities. A life within our space, in our schools, in our workplaces, and in our neighborhoods, for people to grow into who they're meant to become. For 6 decades, we have built a culture that equates progress with movement. It has made many of us, including myself, feel guilty when we are still. Because if we are not striving, then surely we must be falling behind. Perhaps this explains why the Pace of Life project conducted by Professor Richard Wiseman found that we are some of the fastest pedestrians in the world. Well, sometimes progress is indeed about moving forward. But sometimes, as I have learned after leaving my first job at 31, progress is about floating, catching our breath, looking around, noticing things that we would have otherwise missed when we are rushing from point A to point B. I believe Singaporeans are ready for a conversation about what we are willing to prioritize to build a Singapore that is both successful and sustainable. I hope the government will be brave enough to measure what matters most, to trust Singaporeans with flexibility, with dignity, and with a little more space to breathe and to be human. Mr. Speaker, I support the budget with the observations I have made.
Order. I propose to take a break now. I suspend the sitting and will take the chair at 3:30 p.m. Order, order.